Well, what some materialists claim as settled science may just be a widely accepted standard model awaiting a paradigm shift. And you do deal with the idea of settled science in your book. We saw this with the Big Bang Theory, which flew in the face of conventional wisdom and even annoyed the best scientists in the world at the time, like Albert Einstein and Arthur Eddington. There's a reason Dr. Stephen Meyer and many other clear-thinking philosophers of science like to remind people that science is provisional. But calling the science of something settled is a great way to end the discussion. You do quote Michael Crichton, the great novelist, who was also a doctor of medicine. He said that the claim of consensus is the first refuge of scoundrels. I like that. You write that consensus is an utterly meaningless concept. In fact, it's not just meaningless, it's anti-scientific. Can you expound on that?
Well, sure. Truth is not a popularity contest. It doesn't matter how many people subscribe to something. It matters what's true and what's not true. Every wrong hypothesis theory that has been embraced as the standard model for often centuries. The world is flat was the consensus of the world's leading scientists at the time. So the fact that there may or may not be a consensus is wholly irrelevant. In fact, it's a logical fallacy known as argumentum ad populum. That's you may recognize its English translation, but Mom, everybody else is doing it. The fact that so many people may embrace something as good or true is wholly irrelevant to the argument. But on the other hand, it is the only argument that the atheists have, and it is indeed a refuge for scoundrels. It is indeed a way to cut off conversation. And in fact, if you ever are in a discussion or a debate with somebody who claims to be making a scientific argument, and they say the science is settled, or they say that there's a consensus, that's the end of the conversation, because they clearly are not actually scientists. They are propagandizers wearing the cloak of science.
Right. Yeah, and we've been talking lately about the myth of junk DNA here in the intelligent design community, and how that myth, was propagated for decades. And it's now, being revealed as what it was, which is a sham, just a true myth. Because junk DNA does have function, what they called junk DNA, the non-coding regions, and I'm sure you've read a little bit about this,
Indeed.
But it is amazing. It's a great example of how myths can be really strong in building this narrative.